here with my friend G. Foster. We are Final Alliance Podcast. We are here to talk about episode 1, Spies, Lies, and Allies, all the cool things that we saw. We're also going to talk about the previous kind of, what did they even call that? It was, we met the people.
I love how you're just, hey, everybody. But, I mean, this is it. We got the episode. We're here.
Finally.
We're here in when we talked on our first episode. And listen, if this is your first time watching, go back and we did episode 00. But we talked about there was 19 episodes, but really there's 20.
Really, there is 20.
And we know that this happens, but MTV never drops it until maybe 24, 48 hours ahead of time.
Well, and it was very interesting that you mentioned that because I didn't know. Mm-hmm. And Amanda had tweeted about it. She's like, I'm going to be back on your screen today. And all the responses were, girl, it's on Wednesday, not on Monday. And then it came out that, yes, there was, in fact, a preview episode on Monday.
So, part of the challenge is to figure out when you're going to be able to see the actual first episode.
Right.
So, in reality, we have to talk about 2 episodes, so 2.5 hours. But it's easy to sum up the first one because if you just watched the episode tonight, which was Wednesday, August 11th, you'll probably go back and watch it, but we'll catch you up in this podcast too, so you don't have to. And so, let's just start with the episode that came out on Monday.
Right.
All right.
So they arrive in Croatia. They're all in, different SUVs. We're seeing all the Americans, different people in different cars. Was really enjoyed seeing Devin in between Fessy and Josh.
Yes.
That was a fun car to be in. And he said what?
He said Big Brother sucks, but it was so staged. I enjoyed it because you get to, because everyone's looking forward to it. But I think with the podcast that we already recorded, episode 00, and again, go back and listen to that. We knew that there was an alliance, and you follow on social media, so it was staged or whatever else, and it was good. Devin sold it so well, though. Josh couldn't hold it in, but he's just like, so about that Big Brother sucks thing, and he kind of just slowly turns. And then he turns because he's in the middle,
right?
So he's in a car, right?
Awkward.
And it was good.
But then we, come to find out they're friends now. Mm-hmm. I did make that prediction that it would happen like right away, so chalk that up.
There you go.
Say it immediately.
Yeah. There's a couple other predictions we got right. Yeah.
So they get to this house, and this house is amazing. It's like incredible. The old school challenge houses.
It's any challenge house that you remember, and then times it by 2.
Yes.
And then the pool. And then the walkway to get into the
is that another pool?
It's another pool.
It looks so green, though. It makes me wonder, like, is that a pond?
Maybe that's it. I mean, in other challenges, we have seen that, hey, why don't you come down here and tell us why we shouldn't put you in?
Right. And
we'll get to that tonight. That didn't happen. But that seems to be the time when you would have that. You come down here and talk to the people, the agents, or the agency. And, again, we'll talk to that as well. So, but it's 2 buildings.
Yes.
And they'll go on to say, Michelle will go on to say, like, there's a gym here, there's a gym here, there's a gym here. And like we said, it's not
pools,
the same thing. Now they want to work out. They want to be doing things instead of just being hungover and laying around all day.
Right. Absolutely. They're not underground. They can see the sunshine finally.
Mm-hmm.
So they get there. We see all of our favorites, a couple new people.
Yeah.
I do have to say Nelly's outfit was my favorite. He had the nice little gray vest on.
Okay, we can do this.
With the double necklaces. He was looking good.
Because we have to get into the flow of who wore it best or who did whatever else. Devin's 4 or 5 buttons down. I didn't understand in that car ride. He was showing some of the flesh and some of the chains or whatever else, but that's just Devin being flashy. And I'm sorry for all the Fessy fans out there. No, that all white and then the coat and then he took it off. Like, yeah. It was that outfit was just and again, Tori's was just
everyone else is dressing like the weather is pretty nice, and he's layered up like it's a very cold environment.
Yeah, and then I want you to pay.
I think Corey at one point says like, "Dude, like take your coat off."
I think it was Corey. It was Corey. Sorry, I was too busy thinking about Nelson. Yeah, it was Corey. He's like, take that coat off, like relax for a little bit. So what we see in that car ride is the 3 new people. Is it 3, 4? It would be 4 new people. Jeremiah, we talked about.
And he's with Anissa and I think Tori.
That's right. And then the one car that has the 3 will be the 3 people from Survivor. That'll be Tommy, Michaela, and Michelle.
Right.
So those are your 4.
And they kind of make a pact right then to say, we're going to be here for each other. But Michaela does say, she's like, these 2 are closer to each other. So I know that I'm kind of the third wheel.
Yeah.
And then we have Amanda coming back.
Yes.
With Ashley and then Coriel, who we talked about previously.
That's right. Yeah, there's another one. Yeah, he's new too. Yeah.
And they're all, she mentions they're all wearing, red and black, and they do the devil, So they all come into the house, and they're partying, hanging out. They don't really know what's going on, but they do notice that there's a lot of empty beds.
Yeah.
So at that point, they're waiting.
Yeah, it wasn't like, although they were drinking, having a good time, it wasn't like it was to the point of inebriation. It wasn't overzealous. They know something's going on, and it's mentioned many times from Tori to Anissa to CT that there's just too many beds. It doesn't make any sense, and CT's always looking around the corner like, what's going on here? So it didn't get too into anything, and then. Maybe about when the sun goes down, and we'll get. Let's talk about this right away. Are they trying to play up Fessy to be a better guy because he got a lot of time saying like, Corey was talking to him like, you got to talk to Nelson. He's like, I know I did him wrong, and if I have to do him right 1 or 2 times, then I have to do it. But if we have to go to war, we go to war. But he's like, I want to squash it and this and that. I know I did him wrong.
That conversation was confusing though, because Corey's just saying. And I think Jeremiah was in the room too. And he's just saying, look, figure it out. Squash this beef, whatever. And then Fessy's just talking in circles.
Yeah.
To me, it looked like I'm not really going to accept accountability for it.
What he wanted
Corey's
was...
trying to keep the peace.
He wanted Nelson to say exactly, and Fessy does kind of lay it out. He just wants him to say, you have to do me right X amount of times. So he said, do I have to do you right 1 or 2 times? What is it that's going to end this? And he goes, and if that's not going to work, then I guess we go to war. So he's giving him an ultimatum without giving an ultimatum. Right. So that's where I'm trying to figure out if the producer trying to paint Fessy in a better light. So then we see the part where not only they're drinking, they're obviously feeding him, and he's putting a plate together. Right. And Casey says, hey, what are you doing? And
he's putting it in the refrigerator and covering it. Yes. And he explains that it's Ramadan and it's 30 days and you cannot eat while it's light.
Yeah.
So, and she actually even said something. She's like, it's still daylight. And he's like, I'm getting ready because we're close. So that was interesting to me.
All I could think of was this. When they bring in the international agents, someone's going to eat his food and Fessy's going to lose it. I thought this was foreshadowing.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I thought for a fact this was foreshadowing.
I thought it was showing him in another light.
And now I realize it was just show him in another light. Like he's a changed person and he's trying to get to his spiritual side as he's growing. And maybe it'll work out for the producers. Maybe it won't. I just thought it was interesting to throw that in there. And
right. I'd be curious to know when they filmed and how many days left he had. Because that sounds extremely challenging to not eat or drink during the day if you're going to be doing very strenuous exercise.
And that's why I bring that up, because they didn't have the lights start flashing till after the sun went down. So, and while they were getting dressed, did he have enough time to put a little fuel in his body? And then we will come to find out that there's not really a lot of fuel that he needs. He will eventually, but it's not like right away. So I think the lights flashing and everything else, and that's why I brought it up, because I just thought it was so interesting, because, I mean, I was thinking about it. I'm like, did he have time to eat? Or did they just totally screw him over? Yeah. So I think they gave him time to eat. So so they send them off, and TJ doesn't.
He activates them, says, get on your uniforms. We're going now. They don't know where they're going. They just drop everything and leave. And what we come to find out is that's so the new people can arrive and come to the empty house and try to make their own assumptions.
And in the new people, the 3 veterans that we know are Nam, Kyle, and Big T. All right, the rest of them, and they're just running around the house.
Super excited.
Yeah, of course.
But they, there are people that are noticing that there's stuff here. They're trying to go to rooms to, put their stuff down, and they're like, there's things here. At one point, someone sits on a bed and then sees something there, and they're like, what? Then
It was like really. I'm sorry. There were some things that were like really dumb that they were like, but it looks like a girl's room, and clearly it's like a man's belt there, and this man's shoes, and then Kyle picks up Devin's underwear. He's like, smells it because he's being Kyle, and he's like, yeah, it's Devin, and she's like, but it looks like a girl's room, and I was like, it's just red,
right?
Like, and so they're just like
Kyle sniffing the underwear.
The other thing about it is, if you watch the episode, and they said there's tons of rooms in the other house. It's like they only went to one house. I said, did not one of the veterans be like, well, let's go check out everything else over here?
Right.
It was just they were out there, and they're like, well, where are we supposed to sleep?
I don't know.
And all the empty beds. So.
Then we meet our friend Gabo.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. He was the best. So I gathered very much that he is a big Jersey Shore fan.
Yes. And he's from Poland, Warsaw Shore.
Right. And then I think... Yeah, so he is all about gym tan laundry.
Sure.
Not the scenes he has a couple scenes with Nam. Like Nam and him are like kind of making friends.
Sure.
And they're sitting there eating kebabs, and it's just Gabo and Nam. And Nam is nervous. He's been here before, and he's like, "Do you ever get that feeling that something bad is going to happen, and you just don't know what?" And Gabo's just like. He's like, I'm just trying to eat, bro.
Yeah. Like nothing's going to bother him. And Nam's like dead on. Nam's got one season.
He's like, something is happening.
He knows it. He's got one season underneath his belt.
Almost like, you idiots. Like, come on.
Nam has definitely gotten Paramount Plus and watched all the past seasons of this, because now he's like, something's not right here. There's all these people not here. We're having a good time. And he's like, I'm just trying to eat, bro. And Nam talked more in this episode than he talked in the previous season.
I was like so rooting for him. I'm like, okay, this is good. Then TJ comes on the screen, tells them, or do we want to talk? Was there more about the new players?
No, I think the thing about the new players. I think it's the other thing that is foreshadowing. If you're fans of the challenge, if you're watching, and hopefully you'll go back and watch episodes. If you're new to this because you're following because of Sarah and I, and make sure you follow us also on @FinalAlliance1 on Twitter and Final Alliance on Instagram. If you know Kyle, that was a foreshadowing to me when he was like, yeah, screw the Americans. I was like, he's not doing that, guys. Like,
right.
And they're all like, yeah. I was like, he's not doing that.
It was kind of cute when he was out on the balcony, like, CT, yelling people's names. He's like, I know you're out there.
So, yes, then the flashing starts, and they all have to go out there. And
yeah, they go outside because the screen is outside. So he says, challenge activated. And they're all outside just kind of trying to figure out what's going on. And then Gabo, my homie, goes inside. No one else is inside. And he sees this briefcase that has all this information about the, players that they're going to potentially partner up with. Yeah. And it says, it's a lot of good information, like how many seasons, how many elimination wins, how many wins overall, some good information. But he had a really good phrase in regards to it. He said something along the lines of, so the stranger came up on the TV. Yeah. And then I went and I found this.
Yeah. And so you're like, Gabo.
And he's like, hey. And then Nam's like running. He's like, oh my God, all this stuff,
And Nam's trying to explain what's going to happen. And no one's listening to Nam.
Not at all.
And then they're all speculating, and it's in a worse way. And finally, Kyle's had it. He's the camp counselor on the first day of camp. That's like, you know what, guys? Hear me out. You're gonna have to partner with someone of the opposite sex, and this is your research to figure out who you want. So sit down, everyone. Let's
figure it out.
Figure it out and talk to each other. Ask us anything you need to know, because this is what's going to happen. And they're like, oh, and they're like, pass them around. Everybody gets one. Like, so you hear him ask questions. Nam says some things to, gives a little bit of advice here and there. Big T gives some, and Kyle does as well. So, I mean, they're all just like, this is who I want. So then you go into confessions. Like, this is who I want, why? This is who I want, why? And I think that's pretty much sums it up, because then in the first that hour, if there's anything else,
right? Yeah, that's about it. And then
because they leave you with the cliffhanger from there,
right?
Yeah.
So then the next episode starts.
So then we go into tonight's episode. It starts off, my man TJ's into some Lamborghini, red Lamborghini, and I'm like,
No.
Yep. What is it?
Within 30 seconds. Okay, first of all, he's got that leather jacket.
Sure he does.
He's walking through the city.
It's his yep.
Then he's on a yacht. Driving the red sports car. This was a Lamborghini. I don't really know cars. Then he's driving a motorcycle. So in 30 seconds, he's got like 1, 2, 4 modes of transportation.
You got to do it.
Yeah, no motor.
Yeah.
Or no helicopter. Rude.
By land, by flight, by sea. Yeah, all that stuff. Yeah.
So their job is to rescue their partner, and it's kind of a race. Whoever if you're first, you can pick whoever you want, and then it kind of works through that. So
so they have to pick up a sledgehammer, and it's got a key on it, and then they're just to run. And he doesn't say like how long it is, but
it doesn't look very long.
Yeah, and I don't know how long the United States agents, the American agents, have been there, but they're chained up through these cinder blocks, and
the cinder blocks have different letters and numbers of different colors throughout their blocks.
Yeah, and that's not really brought up till the first person that gets to Anissa, and that's the guy from Spain.
But anyone who's watched the show before is like, this means something.
Yeah, and then so they run through this trail, and then they're kind of trying to find people, and it's all about, do you want to pair up, and they're going to get the people they want. It doesn't seem like a lot of people are reluctant, except for CT. And shouldn't he have learned his lesson?
The new people are reluctant with Ashley. She's like, two-time champ, champ over here, which kind of goes to prove your point that you made in last episode, that there might be something there that they tend to not go for her.
Okay, yeah.
And then, absolutely. There's, I think it was Esther? No.
Are you talking about CT?
Who was it that
Berna.
went?
Berna,
love her. We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
There was someone that was going for Corey. Oh, Priscilla was going for Corey, and then saw that he'd already been taken by Bettina. So she's like, all right, next best thing, I'm going to go to Nellie.
Yeah. That's right.
There was nobody that got there at the exact same time and fought over it.
Let me pause you. Bettina's laugh. Are we in on that or are we not?
Oh wow! I completely forgot to talk about that.
I mean, that was in the preview show, and it hasn't come out yet. That thing is not for me. I don't think that's delightful or whatever else.
Mm-hmm. I mean, speaking as someone who has kind of a big laugh, I get it. Sometimes I've seen it when people are like at like a table behind me, and they kind of like, I see them roll their eyes because I'm laughing really loud.
I like your laugh. I don't think that, but that is like a.
But hers is
it's
kind
like
of next level.
It's a baby seal with whooping cough type of thing.
Oh, okay. I was thinking like hyenas from Lion King, maybe.
That works too. But there's more. I don't even want to get into it. But yeah.
Well, and you noticed in the car, so it was it Logan with her, the cute
Yes, it was, yeah.
And you watch his face go from like, oh, she's cute, to like,
yeah, because originally his eyes were probably on her chest.
He
was probably on her chest, and then he was like, I don't care about her chest. That laugh is, I can't handle that.
Right.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt, but yes, so Bettina, and that's that. By the way, that is not, that relationship is not lasting long. Corey will throw a challenge to get rid of her, but that's just me.
Do you think he'd throw it?
Yeah, he's going to. Yeah, he's going to find a way to get thrown in there. He'll ask to go in against somebody or whatever else. That's not lasting. So
I did kind of second guess her. They got in 6th place.
Okay.
She can run. She's, I guess, a dancer.
Yeah,
so
she was a.
She's
she
better
was a
than I was
dancer.
anticipating.
I shouldn't.
She was
say
better
that.
than I was anticipating for sure. But when you have a teammate like Corey,
you never know.
Right.
Yeah.
So in regards to that, so then they pick their partners, they have to unlock them, and then they have to use the sledgehammer to get the chain out, and then they take the
safe in the middle.
The safe.
And the chains.
They run to a puzzle.
Specific amount they don't tell us,
Yeah, a puzzle where they have to put the code in, and that's all the things that were on the cinder blocks. And then,
so if the colors, and they never really left it there, but if the colors were white, orange, blue, green, black, purple, that's what was on the cinder block. So you had to memorize what they were, and they would go in that order. And if you did it 3 times in a row wrong, you were shut out for 5 minutes.
Which I thought that was incredible. I loved that. I loved that as as something that they did.
And then Nelson's, and you just mentioned her. She was just like, you've been done nothing but staring at this, and you can't remember it. And he threw a fit. So
then, well, let's just talk about how, like, so then after, if they solve that, then they get this stone and then they run to the finish line. That's what they got to do. So there's multiple steps in this challenge, but it's kind of an equalizing challenge in my opinion. It doesn't really show that much of what they can do.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Which is, I think, probably why who won.
Mm-hmm.
So second season in a row, Anissa wins the first elimination.
True, and
or first challenge.
And Logan
rather.
wins. Logan's the first to win the race. Anissa said in the confessional, "I'm staring at these numbers, realizing that there's something going on." So Logan wins the race. Anissa already has figured it out. They do the puzzle. They're first. They take the gem out, and they're there first. And yes, you're right. It's the second season in a row that she won the first challenge,
which is great. So I don't know. We'll see what happens with that. Do you want me to tell you who the teams are? Go through.
Well, and real quick, the Ashley and Huey was that was something else. Those two going back and forth and trying and yelling at each other and him screaming, "I'm not going to do this one."
Oh, that was so bad.
And then does he really have something to say, or was his hand slippery? Because they did get the code right and it didn't open. And I mean, it's a matter of seconds, but what if they had it right during one of the times that it frozen?
I did think that too.
Yeah, so
maybe it was open. Yeah.
And then before we go to break, TJ's like, "You're last, you're done." And I was just like, no way. Right away, I'm like, there's a redemption house.
You thought redemption house right away? I thought, I believed it. I was like, all right. I fell right into it. I was like, oh my God, they're going home.
And then
they are sending Ashley home, episode 1. I cannot believe it. How is this a thing? And then we come out of commercial break.
Well, you were live tweeting during it. You were at Final Alliance 1, and you tweeted. Did you tweet at her too? Did you?
I did. Yeah. I said this isn't really happening. You know, there's no way. Like, did that really just happen? You know, I'd be so sad to have a season without her. And then she quoted me, and she was just like, "Yeah, it was awful." Da da da. And then we come out of the commercial break and find out that she wasn't eliminated.
Yeah. All right, so, now we have our team. So, let's run down the teams.
Well, first of all, in regards to Huey, remember I talked about him, I still I do like that I found out that he's into boxing, so there could be some more, but I still am not really sure about him as a competitor. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Okay, so the teams, Casey and Emmanuel.
Okay. Casey and Emmanuel. Emmanuel is the Romanian dude.
He is. He's a choreographer.
Yeah, he does dance.
He kind of looks like Jordan.
A little bit.
Like,
he's like, that was easy.
And I'm saying this lovingly, like a Carney Jordan.
Yeah. I like it you say lovingly, like, but you nailed it. Yeah.
Carney Jordan.
I'll agree. I'll co-sign the lovingly part. Yeah, but it was.
It seems to be a lover, like a nice guy. So we got Tori and Kels. That team is going to be amazing.
Love that.
Well,
I loved it because he was like, right away, he's like, I know she's a beast and she's beautiful. So he like knew what he was going after when he was running to get to a partner, and I thought it was going to be a good team.
And they got third place. I mean, they did a great job. Kyle and Amanda.
I don't know what he was doing there.
That is not who I would choose if I were Kyle.
No, but he.
Well, and then he made her carry the case.
Yeah. She goes, I know I'm a super mom, but I can't. She can't carry the case. She goes, how heavy is he? He goes, not that heavy. And he started running with the chains.
He just like dipped out.
He's the best.
Nam and Michelle, which there's more on that later. Yeah. Josh and Lauren.
Yeah, that's the last you're gonna see of Josh and Lauren the rest of the episode. By the way.
Yeah, we really didn't. Then Anissa and Logan, which obviously they won. Yep. They got first place, and they became the agency.
Yeah.
Last place, Huey and Ashley. And you were proved right. She did. Everything was his fault.
Yeah.
Everything was his fault. Later, she apologizes a little bit.
But she did say, if we lose again, I'll kill you. Yeah.
Right.
But, yeah.
Tracy and Devin.
Yep.
Tasha and Jeremiah, which I think they could be good.
But she was a little bit like she's an alpha female, and
yes,
so she was like, if this is gonna
and I haven't seen a lot of him yet to know what his vibe is.
She basically said, "This is gonna work. He's gonna let me."
Yeah. Bettina and Corey.
Yeah, that's my piece on that. Yeah.
Priscilla and Nellie, which she got frustrated with him because he couldn't remember the.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And I don't have a place for him. There were some people that I was writing down places as they were going, but the middle, maybe third, they didn't tell us their places.
Okay.
So, like CT and several people, we don't know their places. But Bettina and Corey were sixth. Then we got Gabo and Nani. They were in almost last place. They were in 16th place.
They ended up there last, and because of Ashley and Huey, they got.
And he said he picked her because she thought she was cute.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, this guy. Okay, yeah.
Michaela and Renan, they got second place.
Yep.
Finished pretty darn strong.
Mm-hmm.
Coriel and Emmy, no place. Berna and CT, that's a team I'm excited about.
It is.
That is a team I'm excited about.
She's going to throw people off. And when she finally, in the episode that was previous to this, which would be the preview or the launch episode, when she said that she's been in the circus since age 6, and she's also, her body, people just always think that she's just real physical. They look at her that way. So, but she didn't dress that way in that. So I think she's going to surprise CT and surprise some other people.
Tommy and Big T. So Tommy is from Survivor.
Big T and Little T. I love that when he said that.
Big T, Little T.
That's what he said when they started running. He's like, or I don't know. I thought when they started running, or after they got done, or something, they were talking to each other, and he's like, "You're Big T." She goes, "I'll be Little T." I loved it.
Oh, that's cute.
I know.
That is cute.
I want to go back to where was it? And we're gonna talk about this a little bit, but Michaela and Renan, when you said they came out strong, we're going to talk about coming out strong. Verbally and playing the game, they came out strong. So that's going to be the downfall. They may have gotten second, but they didn't stop running after that, not their mouths. So.
Oh, no, yeah. I know. That really got out of hand in a hurry. And they'd said right after the challenge, they're like, we didn't win, so we're going to be kind of under the radar. But they're having that conversation on the balcony. And they say, we need to get some of these vets out.
But that's 2 episodes in a row that Renan says, the rookies, we're going to get these vets out. The rookies are going to run this game. 2 straight episodes, and really Michaela's the one that has to fall on the sword.
Absolutely.
But really he is just as much to blame as she is, because if she didn't do what she did, and we'll talk about it soon, someone was going to turn on him as well. Yes. And say, like, hey, he's been going around telling everybody that the rookies are going to win this. We need to get the veterans out.
Yeah, I wonder how he was able to kind of be under the radar on that. That was interesting.
Yeah.
So come to find out, Nisa and Logan, they're the agency. That's what they're calling it this season. So it's like, instead of like the tribunal or whatever, they're the agency.
Yeah, after they win, TJ's like, here's how the game's going to go. For now.
Right. Like, I'm going to give you this much information, and you'll figure out the rest along the way.
You guys go vote and go yell at each other and pick 2 people, and the agency will pick 2 people to go against you.
So they're safe from elimination, and then they also get to pick a team from elimination. The House votes on the rest. That's what we know at that point. Obviously, we've come to find out later that changes. So as the episode goes on, we see Logan and Anissa talking, and Anissa is just so happy he's her partner. He was encouraging her, and it was great. And he's like, I'm very competitive, and she's very happy that this is someone that doesn't know her, that's not going to underestimate her like everybody else. Then in his interview, he calls her like a sweetie grandma.
Yeah. Yeah, said he liked her, everything else. He thinks it's great that he's partners with her. And he's like, I just see her as a sweetie grandma.
Sweetie grandma.
So harsh. So now we know that Nani has been called the cool mom, and now she's a sweetie grandma.
That is just, yeah.
If she lets him down in one challenge, he's going to turn on her too. Sorry.
Yes.
And Anissa's
I think you're right.
hurt as can be.
I think you're absolutely right. Then it's very obvious there's this Survivor Alliance.
Yes.
Or at least there's talk of the Survivor Alliance.
Because they know each other. The Survivor Alliance forms in 2 ways, really. I mean, they're talking about each other in the car ride in the preview episode, and Michelle and Tommy have won. But really, it actually starts because of Survivor, because Michaela says, I'm hearing Survivor brought up a lot. Like, and Tori never brings up Michaela. She's right, though. And from by our producer's cut, when they get to deliberations, Tori's not lying to her. All she says is, we've met these Survivor people, like, because they've been on the show, and they're very good at politicking, so you have to keep your eye on them because they know to say the right things. And Michelle had already given a previous confession saying, I know what I'm doing. I may look like I'm nothing, but I know how to play the game. And obviously Tommy's a winner too, and Michaela, I think, was a semifinalist.
Well, and there was a period like towards the end of the night where Tori's in the room, Corey's in the room, Kels is there, and then it's the 3 Survivor people. And who was it? Somebody said, so y'all won Survivor. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And I think Tori became kind of guilty by association based on that conversation.
And that's when...
even though she was just hanging out.
And that's when you get the cut to the confessional, and Michaela goes, well, I'm hearing Survivor a lot, so now I know that there's a target on her back. And these games will make you paranoid. It doesn't matter. If anything, if you're announced for $1 million, you know, you're going to split $1 million between 2 people, you're going to be paranoid about things. And if you're a rookie on these shows, you should be paranoid. And, and to be transparent to the audience out there, like the goal is for you and I to watch these things and then record. But actually, I was watching it tonight. But I got to watch it with my 11-year-old daughter, and she's like, so does this happen a lot to the rookies? And I was like, every year. Yeah. And she goes, well, what about the veterans? I said, happen to them. You just have to earn your stripes.
It's true.
And rarely, you don't have an Amber B like happened last year. I go, it just happens, and then they come back.
Tori had that on her rookie season also. But yeah, it's so few and far between. It's so few and far between.
And the paranoia that Michaela gets is what's really going to lead to the downfall. And yeah, we'll talk about that.
Absolutely. So then they have this conversation with Devin, Amanda, Ashley. They decide, vets, we need to stick together. We're absolutely outnumbered.
Time to start a super alliance.
To which I think, till when?
Till all the rookies are gone.
That's what they say, but I just...
It's until when someone... this is easy to figure out. It is until you figure your place on the totem pole in the super alliance.
True.
And once you figure out that you're not in whatever... Once TJ figures out how many people are running his final... That's when you figure out where you are in the totem pole. And if you're not tight enough with enough people to be in running TJ's final, you're underneath the totem pole, you're going to flip and say, you don't have the numbers. These people the veterans have been together since day one, ready to vote you out. But
That's
guess
true.
what? You still have numbers, but I'll be with you. That's what will happen.
That'll be interesting to see how it plays out. So it's a birthday party.
Can we, before we get to the birthday party, Gabbo and Nani. This dude, she's like, she knows that there's something off with them. She's like, why'd you pick me? Because you're hot. He even says this thing. He goes, I know I may look sporty. I have popcorn muscles. So my daughter says, what does that mean? And I go, it's like...
muscles.
They're filled with hot air. Like they're just big, but they're not built. They're not strong. And she goes, what do you mean? I go, popcorn kernel goes like that, but hot air blows it up. She's like, oh. I go, he's all show. He's telling us, but so he says to her, thought you're hot, you'd be my girl. And she's like, I'll be your partner. That's not lasting long. That loophole we're gonna talk about is gonna help her
for sure.
This guy is a clown.
Well, and as we watched people in the challenge, he was finishing as the first girl. Like when they were running. Yeah. It was first girl was here and he was behind her. So he, as far as speed of the men, he didn't. He was at the back. Okay. Yeah. All right. Sorry to interrupt you, but yeah. Oh, no worries. Yeah. So birthday party for a couple people there. I think it was Logan and Michelle's birthday. And Nisa says, hey, they didn't want to have a party, but we're going to have a party. And she gave the toast. She did. That's the first thing I thought of. I was so excited. I even circled it on my notebook. Because in our previous episode, we said who was going to give the first toast. I said it was going to be Corey. She said it was going to be Nisa, and she gave the first toast. 100%. That's true. going to be right one more time here in a minute.
Yeah.
So then Emmanuel's saying, he's got the hots for Michelle. It's cute. Nellie and Ashley apparently now live in the same city. I guess she moved to Austin.
They are friends with benefits.
Friends with benefits. Said, yes. Nellie is being a little bit kind of pompous, saying, why did she move to the same city as me?
Yeah. Why did she move to the same city? Why is she right down the block?
Right. And that's the first kiss that we see on screen. So Nellie was the first kiss, so I got that one.
There you
right.
go.
I predicted that too. And this is from minute 40 to 43. So we hear Emmanuel likes Michelle, Nellie and Ashley kiss, then Nani and Casey kiss, then Amanda and Fessy kiss. All in 3 minutes time. They're like, here's all the couples. Boom, 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 boom. And then immediately following that kiss with Fessy, Amanda and Nellie are friends. Nellie's got problems with Fessy from last season for obvious reasons.
We talked about that, yeah.
So then he immediately gets in an argument with Nellie.
Well, Corey's over the top laughing, and he knows he's going to blow this whole thing up. And then Amanda's like, thank you very much for ruining my night. And Corey's just like...
You're right. So he then went and told his friends.
Yeah. He's like...
He did.
So even if he didn't, Amanda right away was like, I got to clear the air here. It doesn't matter who told who. She knew what was happening. She said, thank you for ruining my night. She knew the writing was on the wall. So then they're up there, and finally they're going to squash the beef, I guess. And he's like, that's like my little sister, and I'm going to talk about this. And he's like, well, what happened between us isn't about anything. Let's go with this back and forth. And Fessy gives the same speech. What do I have to do, right? 1 or 2 times, you name it. And Nellie's just like, what you did was dirty. He's like, I just admitted it. And I don't really know if we got anywhere with the whole thing.
No, Nellie said something along the lines of like, you didn't even win, but what you did was you lost a friend that was there from day one.
There you go.
And
strong words.
It really is.
Yeah.
I was impressed with him standing his ground on that. Also, Josh kind of creeps in quietly. We don't see much of Josh like in all this episode, which actually kind of made me sad.
Yeah.
And he just kind of creeps in silently with this like black bucket hat, just chewing gum, just like watching this argument. And I found that incredibly amusing. I'm like, what are you gonna do here, bro? Like I don't know. It was just interesting. So then there becomes this huge, probably blown out of proportion thing called the list.
Yeah. Emmy says, I am a spy, and I know that these survivors, and she's a survivor person too.
Oh.
But she's from international. Mm-hmm. So she said, I'm a spy. So I go
Romania.
up there. Yeah. And so is, there's another one from Romania. And so she's up there, and then she hears about, it's not just she's not eavesdropping, she goes in, and she listens to him talk. She's the one that drops everything. It's like, there's a list. She goes right down to Tori
and Anissa.
And it's like, here it is. And Tori, you're on the list. And there's 3 people you can't trust, 3 people you want to work with, and 3 people keep an eye on. And you're on it, Tori. And it doesn't even last that long. I mean, if it lasted overnight, if it didn't blow up that night, it manifested and infected the house overnight into the next morning.
And it's, Devin comes on, he's like, hashtag the list, who wrote it, what's it about, apparently Michaela wrote this list.
Sure.
And I mean, we see, I think every group in the house talking about this list privately.
This thing's going to be exposed, and we're going to have to work our game here. And she was just like, we're just going to have to be quiet. And Tommy goes, I'm not saying a word at deliberations. Okay, Tommy.
He also says something like, I don't know anything about this list. I saw the list.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, immediately.
So this dude, we'll talk more about Tommy when we get to deliberations. But
oh my God, it was so bad.
Michelle's like, we have to separate ourselves from her. Tommy, you do too. And he's like, yes, you're absolutely right. So then she's like, and then someone says, you just got to do damage control. I mean, Big T's asking her, people asking her, and she's like, oh, I can't. And she even said, she's like, I have damage control. So there's 4 vets talking, and she's walking up from the hill, and she just says, I'm going to get the list. Okay. Now, this list is either coded in a certain way.
Right.
Or it's not the list.
It just looks like a piece of paper with a bunch of partners on it. It really does look like she just
says,
wrote down people's partners.
Here's people's names, this and that, and I just wanted to make a list of this and that. Well,
there have been vets over the years, like Laurel used to do that kind of stuff, and other people like. So the way that this was kind of blown up based on what we saw seemed kind of crazy, because it just looked like a list of names.
That's why I think there's 2 lists.
Oh,
like I don't think she was allowed to scribble that fast or whatever else, but because in deliberation, it's just a matter of like when Tommy, who wasn't going to say anything in deliberation, was like like you said, I don't know about this list. I saw the list, and it was that quick too. You were right. It was that quick. I don't know about
the list. I saw the list.
So, and then in deliberation, when he wasn't going to say anything, he's just like, yeah, and here's a list, and it said this person, this person, this person, and Tori, you were at the top, and everyone's like, oh, I mean, it's one of the most animated deliberations I've ever seen.
So deliberation got so messy. And I thought this was interesting because last season it was not like this. So they're all together in a room, and they've all got what looks like an iPad in front of them. And our, what do we call them? The agency, they're in the front, and everybody else just has to talk and decide who's going to go in, who wants to go in, that kind of stuff. And then based on that, they vote, and then later the agency will decide who's going to go in. And it immediately starts. I mean, it was like, who has anything to say? And immediately Michaela starts talking.
Well, okay. Here's how you do not do a deliberation. This isn't going to take long. I'm going to say some things. That usually is, I'm just going to vote myself in. Right. How about y'all agree? She goes, this isn't going to take long. And I was like, good for her. I'm going to have to. Sorry, Renan. I did this, but you're my partner. And that's just the way it goes.
You're right. When she first started to talk, that was kind of my initial thought. I was like,
for
maybe
some
she's
reason,
voting herself in.
She thought that she said, like, I've played Survivor, and I know that you're supposed to throw someone else under the bus. And Michelle, and I was like, this is going to take longer than you think then. And they went the full 20 minutes. And that's when Tori was like, my name was
Emmy's
involved.
Like,
that's
her
yes.
I think Emmy has something to say.
Yes. And that's when she goes, I saw the list. I was in the meeting, this and that. You said this, you said that. And then everyone, that's when it starts getting animated. It's like, oh my goodness.
And she's like, you have God. You're lying.
You're under God, yeah.
And then Tommy pops in and he's like, yeah, I saw the list. Absolutely, I can. All that's accurate.
Yeah, that crazy rapper, she's right. Yeah, she's spitting mad bars right now.
I did not have high expectations for her.
Yeah, I did not either.
She nailed it tonight.
Yeah.
Nailed it tonight. I don't really know much about her competition. She looks like, I think she was like in the middle.
Okay. Do you want me to give you a little spoiler alert? She's one of my nominees for Who Won the Show.
Same.
Okay.
She was my number one for Who Won the Show.
Number one. Okay, interesting. All right, good. Okay. So they do the deliberation. Like you said, they have an iPad in front of them. They have to tap everyone. And the agency's right there. TJ comes up, and he's like, here's the people. And it ends up being Michaela and Renan. So now they have to go back, and now it's Anissa and Logan. They have to figure out who they're going to put in. And it is really much a no-brainer if you're watching the show because they're all going out for rookies. So you're like, Coriel and Emmy. I mean, I knew it. I go, they're not even.
For sure.
They're not
that
even
was going to be so easy.
And that's maybe that's why they didn't go to that little area pool because they're like to the producers. Maybe Anissa, who's going to be a producer, somebody goes, it's not really. I'll try to make the best television I can, or maybe they did, and it really was that bad where they're like, you're good, you're good. You're good. And they just kept going down the list. And when the Emmy and Coriel came in, they're like, okay, well, why should we save you? And the producer's like, no, we can't put that in there. So,
well, and I mean, it could have been that they did do all of that in the talking to people, and it just wasn't very good. And
I just don't think it was. I think everybody came in and they had like a. By the way, this is going to be good for the listeners. A word that I cannot say. Is it charcuterie tray? What is the meat and cheese thing?
I say charcuterie, but I think there's another that's better than syllable in it.
I just imagine that's what they have out there, and there's like Ritz crackers there too. I guess I don't even know if there will be, and that's what the producers like. No, this was all a waste of time. Because they were just like, you want a Ritz cracker with meat? And they're like, sure. Like, I thought you did good today. And they're like, yeah, okay.
All right, cool, bye.
Yeah, bye. Yeah. So,
thanks for stopping by.
And I think we will see that thing in the middle of a lake or a pool at one point.
Oh, yeah, that little, I don't know.
Gazebo, we'll call it. Yeah.
Is good. So, we get down to the elimination.
This got messed up too.
And it's the lair.
Yeah, it's the lair now.
Lair.
Yeah. It's always something.
Which it makes me think of South Park. We burn down your lair.
Okay.
That's what I think of.
So TJ comes in. He gets out TJ. He's got his hands together. Welcome to the lair. And he's like, so come down and join me, Michaela. And
so and the big twist is the agency can pick an individual players.
Yeah.
And it's not, a team that's going to go in.
Right
and it's a, team versus team or, 4 people going into elimination, not it's a girl's day, it's a guy's day.
So this is where it gets messed up.
It's so messy.
Because Anissa goes first, and she doesn't want to throw in Coriel. No, I mean, she does throw in Coriel.
She
I
does,
take that back.
which was
She doesn't want to throw in.
confusing.
Yeah, she doesn't want to throw in.
Emmy.
Yeah. Yes, she does. Sorry. Yes. Wait. No.
It doesn't make sense.
None of it makes sense. No. Coriel originally was going to go Emmy, but he didn't want to throw in Emmy. Logan didn't want to. So that's where.
Right.
So she's stuck with Coriel. Okay. And she's like, I'm sticking with plan A because that's what we went with.
Right.
And he goes, I'm going with my partner.
Well, and he said when it got switched, when TJ said, it's individuals now, he said something to her in Spanish, which we looked up, and that meant like make the switch or something like that.
Okay, I was hoping like compromise. Like you will still keep Coriel and I get to pick whoever I want. I don't know.
I think it was something like switch it up.
Okay. So she sticks with Coriel, and then he says, like, she gives this speech that doesn't really make sense because he didn't say anything. She's like, well, there's people in the middle of this, and there's kind of drama, so I'm going to go with Coriel. And he's like, I'm going with my partner. And then instead of putting Emmy in, he puts in Michelle, who was in the drama. So,
which poor Coriel just got like so thrown in that,
and he's
for
just like,
no reason.
What?
He's like,
and he had every right to be like,
right?
What?
Why am I even here?
So Michelle comes down.
But then we come to find out that Nam is not there, so maybe that's why. Because Michelle didn't have a partner.
But they, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I get that. I understand what you're saying there, but
you could have picked anybody else. Anybody else.
Yeah, but he had she. Anissa, if anything, if she was like, it may look like they only have 15 seconds to do it, but I've actually listened to other podcasts, and before those challenges and before now the lair, the hours wasted of asking TJ dumb questions is insane. So they probably were just like, they're probably filming it. There's got to be reels of bloopers where they're like, can we invite now? How long do we have? And then like, hey, wait, can we have 5 more minutes? And he's like, all right, and just asking questions because where is Nam? And then he says again, wait, where's Nam again? They're just stalling for time. So maybe that does play into it. But yeah, Corey's absolutely right. By production to go, what? This doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Like, Emmy should be in if anything
so many,
with me.
Yes.
So yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, because that would make sense because that was his partner.
Yeah, stick with it. Yeah, and so now they're the lair. They're on a platform with 2 ramps on each side. And what was it called? Do you remember?
I don't remember what it was called.
I think back to back.
But they
back
were
to back.
all like tied together.
Yeah, sort of.
And like in a.
The idea is to push the
circle,
other person off of their ramp. Doesn't matter how you get twisted or whatever else. So whatever whatever ramp you're facing as you start, that you can't go down that one. And because right away you started seeing them twist and turn. And Corey is working his rear end off. Michelle is grabbing whatsoever. And there's times I'm
Brennan
like,
apparently is squirming a lot. Michaela looks a couple times like she's like getting like pushed down really hard. But then you can't really
you couldn't figure
what's going on.
Yeah. So it does look like Corey just basically wills it all the way down to
says he did it all himself is what Anissa said.
Yes, and then I think we've seen the banana backpack. He was the backpack, the fanny pack.
He was all the things because he basically took all 3 of them down. Then when they were eliminated, TJ said, "Take care.
Take care." Michaela and Renan, it's not looking good because you got to take care. That's a step above the kiss of death, where he just is like, get out of here. If you quit or whatever else, like, just get out of here. But the take care is just kind of like,
yeah, it's not as much love. I mean, it's
maybe
not as bad
Michaela
as
got him a little
some
bit
of
with
the
her
other ones I've
farewell,
seen.
like,
but
ask me back. TJ had me back. I know I made mistakes. I made a list. Maybe she's getting funny with her diary rooms. Renan's not going to be making it back at all. He did not bring anything to the table. And by the way, just a little ASAP for everyone out there. I don't think you should be going to a 22-year-old for a sex counseling. I'm just sorry. I can't believe he's
only 22.
Only 22.
Oh, yeah, probably not.
I was just like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm 22 years old. I'm a sex counselor. I'm like, no. That's not a thing. Like, I mean, it is a thing. I mean,
yeah, just thinking about like the schooling and the education, then obviously your own life experience.
So Michaela, maybe, I don't know, and Renan probably will not. So now this is the big twist. So
now we can partner swap, and there is a bunch of partner swap situations happening. So so Coriel and Michelle
there's a switch.
won, and they can choose to stay together.
Mm-hmm.
They can go back to their other partners. Obviously, Michelle Nam had to go home. We don't know why he went home. Made me sad because he killed it in the preview episode. So Michelle obviously is going to have to find a new partner. So they could stay together, or they could pick different people.
Yeah.
And then based on who they pick, then other people are going to be moved around. So Michelle immediately picks Devin. She said, I want beauty over brawn.
Mm-hmm.
And then we see that he is, when she's looking at the crowd, he's kind of like raising his hand like, pick me.
Yeah.
And she's like, all right, this guy obviously wants to be partners with me.
It was a great call by her. 100%. One, she realized that she needs to be with a veteran and probably someone who's going to be stronger in the alliance.
Mm-hmm. And she said he's smart.
Yeah, I mean, really, if you're looking at it right there, if you're going to pick someone in the veterans, it's going to be CT. It's going to be Devin.
CT always. Devin is actually a pretty good call, though.
Devin's a really good call because he's going to politic, and he does come through 1 out of every 4 challenges. He may lose 1 out of 5 and put you in.
He's starting to get some pretty good elimination records. Yes. I mean, he's beat CT, he's beat Wes, he's beat.
It's not a bad, but it was important for her to like get into a veteran, and so I thought that was smart.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then we have.
So Coriel then picks Tori, which that's going to be a pretty good team. I'm a little bit sad because I liked Kels and Tori together a lot.
He was heartbroken, man. He took that harsh.
I know. I was too. Like, I was bummed out for him as well. But I think Corey and Tori, there was a Corey and Tori last season. That's gonna be a really good team as well. And then Kels ends up with Tracy, who I don't really know anything about her. There's 2 new female competitors that look sort of similar to me. It's
Tracy and Bettina.
Yes, and I just haven't seen much of Tracy yet to be able to kind of know much about her.